During 2019, I read 28 books, and in this video, I want to share with you the 5 that made the biggest impact on my business. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to another Business Time segment where I teach you and share with you some of my learnings around how I run my business. And today, the book that made the biggest impact on my business in 2018 actually, last year. So last year, as I said in the intro, I read 28 books, and last year was also the first year where I actually started to take notes on the book that I read, which I actually now find so helpful that I think like I've almost wasted the whole years before last year where I read tons of book and did not take notes. And so my learning is kind of mushed away into kind of a vague understanding. But now earlier this year, like early 2018, I started to take notes on the Notes app in my iPhone and just write bullet points. You know, I listen mainly to audiobooks. And so I'm writing or will be somewhere. And when I hear something that I want to remember, I would take kind of bullet notes. And at the end of the book, I usually have like 20 to 30 bullet points, which kind of summarize the book, but from my perspective. And that's super helpful to when I come back and try to remember some concept from the book, but also just writing it down kind of like implements the knowledge more strongly in your head. So let's get right into what are the most impactful books. So this is, by the way, not the best books, but these are just books that had tremendous impact on my business. And I shared last week, I had a great year last year. And so I attribute a lot of my learning into reading these concepts from these books. So let's jump into the first book. The first book is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know Grant Cardone. He's kind of like a salesman, real estate salesman persona, also has a YouTube channel. And a lot of people feel kind of like they don't like his personality, and I guess it's okay. He's like really rah-rah salesman, and not a lot of people like that. And that's okay. But this book, which was recommended to me by a friend, I read it and I found it, whether you like his personality or not, doesn't matter, because I think that the points that he makes in this book are super, super valid, and you should listen to them whether you like him or not, because he's right. The main thing that he says in the book is that when you plan your goals, and what you want to do this year or in general, you're underestimating the effort that it's going to take. So let's say, just throwing it away, if you like throwing away an idea, if you want to make 100K this year and you make a plan for how you're going to make 100K this year, you underestimate all the things that are going to be hard about this, and the plan that you make is not going to suffice, because things are going to be harder. And what he says is basically think 10x larger. So if you're thinking about you want to make 100K this year, plan for 1 million. Think I'm going to make 1 million, and make a plan for making 1 million, and you're going to work 10 times harder. And even if you're going to fail at your plan, which you were about to fail in your plan anyway, because plans are something that never work out because they are much harder than we anticipate, at least you're going to be at where you plan to be or where you originally wanted to be. And I have to say that reading this and hearing him in the audiobook yell at me and telling me that it's my responsibility to think bigger so that I can, have the finance to take care of my family and all of that, really made an impact. I read it really early on 2018, and it really made an impact for me to set goals for last year. Last year was actually the first year that I actually set goals for myself as a freelancer, and my goals were set at 300Ks, and I actually surpassed that goal. But before, on earlier years, I never actually had a goal. And so just the fact that having this book kind of yell at me and tell me set bigger goals, and I did set bigger goals, and I did achieve those bigger goals. I think that if I wouldn't at the beginning of the year get this kind of slap in the face like set bigger goals, I would probably not do it. And so I did it, and I did achieve the goal. So I attribute some of that thinking into this book. So second book is The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham, and this is a book that was recommended to me. Actually, I read 2 books by Keith Cunningham. They were both recommended to me by my business coach, Rob, who will be on the podcast soon. So listen to that episode. It's going to be really, really good. But basically on The Road Less Stupid, they're both around how to run business. And in The Road Less Stupid, basically the premise of the book is that most of the mistakes that we do is because we don't think ahead and we don't really think deeply about what we're trying to do. And so he encouraged you to take kind of thinking time, so like 1 hour block in your week, or do this 1 or 2 times per week, where you really think about your strategy, what are the risks in what you're doing right now, and kind of plan ahead. And this, and throughout the book, he gives you great ideas to think what you should be thinking. He calls this like thinking time questions. So just come to this 1 hour with only one question in your mind. For example, what are the risks in my business that I'm not thinking about? And spend the whole hour brainstorming that and reviewing that and thinking about that topic. And I think that I did this last year multiple times, not always consistently 1 per week, but I try to do it at least 1 per week. And that has proved really immensely valuable when I'm thinking about my goals, when I'm thinking about my quarterly goals, yearly goals, where I'm thinking about the strategy. Is this the right strategy? Am I doing the right thing? One of the things that he mentioned in this book is that we are all, as humans, are always chasing. We want more with less work, and we want it faster. So obviously, if you just think about that, that is a recipe for disaster, because we're just going to chase down everybody that promises us the quick solution or doing something faster. And usually it's just a distraction from doing the real hard work consistently. And so this book is really, really great. I actually listened to it on audiobook, but I'm going to buy the print version just because it includes a lot of really great questions that I just want to reflect on, to choose one when I'm doing a thinking time session. I just want to pick a question from the book. So if you get this book, I suggest you get a print version of it, just so you can have it in front of you and mark down the questions that you think are fit for your business. The second book by Keith Cunningham is The Blueprint for Insanely Successful Business. Basically, what this book says is that, if you want to run a business and you want to run it well, you need to understand the language of finance and accounting, because accounting is how you keep track of your business progress, I guess. So if you don't look at the numbers, right, you can't know, like he's always comparing this to a pilot that tries to, fly an airplane. And if you don't have a dashboard with all your number, like what's your height, what's your speed, then you're not going to be able to fly the plane very fast, because you're always going to have to be careful. Like, I don't know, can I go faster? Can I go slower? I don't even know where I am. And so you have to keep track of where you are right now. And you do this by working with 3 specific docs that he covers in this book, which are the cash flow statement, the profit loss statement, and the balance sheet statement. That book really helped me to grasp how I should keep track of my business numbers. Before, I just had one spreadsheet. I didn't know. Now I understand that it was some kind of a cash flow statement, but not a profit loss statement. They have 2 very different purposes. And if you don't do profit loss statement, which basically means understanding what efforts that you do generate the money, then it's really hard to understand what's working and what's not working in your business. So this was really, really instrumental into having visibility into what goes on in my business. And I think like every business owner should understand these 3 types of documents. And he really clearly explained this in this book. Those 2 books by Keith Cunningham have some overlapping concept, but I think you should read them both, because they do address managing a business from 2 different perspectives, and they're both very, very important as business owners. Fourth book, which I think was really awesome, was Building a Brand Story. This was a book that also recommended to me by Sagi, another friend of mine. Actually, he was the one who actually recommended the 10X rule to me as well. So 2 books. Sagi this year gave me 2 good recommendations. Basically, building a storybook brand is kind of a framework of how to build the story of a brand. And I actually read this because I had to do a story session kind of workshop with my clients to help them clarify their story. They're a very complex company, and we wanted to simplify it. And so we worked with this framework, which was really, really great. And actually, that framework worked amazingly well, and I read this book and then sold a workshop for $5,000. So I think it's a great ROI. So I think as designers, if you understand this framework, you have another actually product that you can sell your clients as part of a branding process or whatnot. It's another type of workshop, another type of session or product offering that you can give them, like, let's clarify your story using this story brand framework. And so this is amazing. So I think it's just another tool. It's like learning, I don't know, how to design something. So understanding how to go through this process with clients, I think it's really amazing. It's really, again, I listened to this on audiobook, like really great read, gave me a tool that I can now sell again and again, also use for my business. And so I think this is a really great now tool in my arsenal. So I'm happy that I read it and was already able to kind of like bring back the investment last year on reading this book. Last book is Expert Secrets, which is actually a book about how to sell your knowledge. And I actually read this book while I was actually working on building my online course, the Webflow Masterclass. And I think this, again, the author of the book, forgot the name of the author of the book. He's also kind of like a salesy person where, you know, when I'm reading this, I don't know if I like this person, but just reading this book has a lot of really interesting, valuable insights around how to sell a knowledge product in terms of, you know, how to structure the story around it, how to structure the online free web class that I have right now is structured. The structure for it was based on reading this book where he explains that basically in order to explain people why they should join your course, you should actually educate them that the limiting beliefs that they have around why this is not going to work out for me. You're going to tell stories in order to convince them that this is not the right way. So just an example, my example, I'm teaching people how to use Webflow, and so to teach them that, you have to first. They might be thinking that, no, Webflow is not right for me. And then they might be thinking, no, I personally can't do it. It's too hard for me. And so for each one of those kind of limiting beliefs or something that your potential student is afraid of, you have to tell a story, most preferably a personal story around why you also had this fear, but something happened to you that changed this belief, and now you understood that this is something great. And by telling these stories is actually a great way to sell your offering. And so this book was also very, very valuable. And if you ever plan on, you know, selling a course or something like that, then this book gives you a really good framework to think around how to do sales using telling stories, which is, I think, is great. So those are, I think, just because of the things that I did this year, which was to manage my business better, understand the mechanics of running a business, starting to sell an online course, and doing client work around the story brand. I think that's the reason that those specific books were super influential on my business this year. Let me just run through the quick list of all the books that I read this year. So let's see. I just concluded reading Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, Playing to Win, Life After Google, Never Split the Difference, Tough Shit, This is Marketing, Who, the Method for Hiring, Wired for Wealth, The Way to Design, How to Change Your Mind, The Four, Thank You for Being Late, Hacking Growth, Scale, Built to Sale, Creative Strategy in the Business of Design, Radical Candor, Perfect Day Formula, Venture Deals, Zig Ziglar Goals, The Intelligent Investor. Yeah, I think this covers all the book that I read this year. And again, this is mainly kind of like non-fiction business related books. This does not include kind of like fictional books that I just read for fun, which honestly I did not read a lot last year, which is a shame. I'm going on vacation next week, and I do want to read some like fiction book just for fun because I really like reading in general. All right, guys, hope this video was helpful for you. Hope you pick up one of those books, because I know that I gave you a quick summary, but you know, when you read them, you really internalize a lot of that knowledge and take action on it. And when you do read, take notes. That's super helpful. See you tomorrow.